Welcome to this week's edition of the Cheap Pop Podcast with K-Double and Alpha. Boys, take it away. Hey, what's up? What's up? It's me, Double K, K-Double, however you want to know me. And the man right above me or to the side of me, depending on how this all comes out, is the one and only Alpha. And we're trying a new look here for the Cheap Pop Podcast. Normally we do the back and forth thing. Today we're gonna share the screen because we all about that sharing and loving and that lifestyle, man. Just being kind to each other. We feel we are stronger.
Roll into the new year with some fucking positivity. Do you understand me? Whether you like it or not.
Amen. Amen. Hallelujah.
Exactly. Shoot. And we're back to talk about some sweaty fucking men today. We're gonna be rolling with day one, are we not?
Hey man, it was a pay-per-view that left my jaw on the floor. And we'll get to that main event, but definitely left my jaw on the floor overall. Like I was like, okay, did not see that one coming. Like, did not see that one coming. All right, so let's get to the
let's fucking do this.
Share screen. Let's see. There we go. No, there we go. There we go. Ta-da! All right. So we opened up with the pre-show, and which was a strange match and a pretty good match. The Sheamus and Ridge Holland versus Cesaro and Ricochet, and of course, because Ricochet was the smaller guy, he took the brunt of the beating from Sheamus. But somehow, even though Ridge Holland is out the match a third of the way into it because Ricochet accidentally kicks him in the nose, Sheamus still wins the match.
Yeah. They should have called a fucking audible. They should have just called an audible. Sheamus should have at least won by a roll up or by a low blow or some shit if he absolutely had to go over. Yeah. Because it was a good match. Watching Ricochet destroy Ridge Holland's nose was fucking horrifying. I can never watch nose breaks. That shit kills me. But watching Cesaro and Ricochet have to go down to Sheamus in almost embarrassing fashion was pretty
Yeah.
All in all, though, it wasn't a bad match though. With Ridge Holland getting hurt, what were they supposed to do?
And okay. I'm going to say this real quick before we move on to the first match of the night.
Go ahead.
Whether you like the storyline, whether or not you like the finish, the issue I have with most of the IWC is that they have a tendency to call a match horrible despite the fact because they didn't like the finish, because they didn't like the way the character was written. And it demeans what is otherwise an amazing match actually in ring.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main issues that I have with them. Is it's like, okay, if anything, okay, I didn't like half the storylines I watched in the Attitude Era. Mm-hmm. But I loved almost every minute of what I saw in the ring. And that's kind of how I feel about WWE right now. Is that sometimes I don't like the finishes, sometimes I don't like the storylines. Yeah. But what happens in ring almost every time amazes me.
Yeah. No, you can have an appreciation for the physical aspect of the match, even if you're not oblivious to how crap the storyline might be. There's no doubt in that. Absolutely.
And that leads me to the Usos and New Day. This storyline,
I was gonna say, or lack thereof from me.
Yeah, it wasn't really, how do I say this? It wasn't one of the best storylines that I've seen the Usos and New Day pull off.
Yeah.
But the match was classic New Day and Usos. Them boys gave us everything they had for 17 minutes and told us a damn story in that ring. I loved it. As a fan, I smiled my way through the whole match. I remember looking up about 3 minutes into the match and going, this looked like it's gonna be a good one. And decided to keep watching.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah. But what are your thoughts on the match, man?
No, absolutely. Not to just regurgitate what you said. I walked into this kind of tired of seeing this storyline as much as it's been played out and how many times it's been done. Don't get me wrong. I love this pair up. We've seen it a million times now. I sat down for it and I was like, all right, time for my annual New Days versus Usos match. Let's see how this one goes. All right. But honestly, at this point, they could give it to me once a year and I'll fucking take it and love it because this match was fucking great. You know, for what it's worth, they have an ability to just go into the ring and pump out an amazing match every single fucking time that they work together. They put on new spots consistently and it's fucking awesome. You know, the Usos are only honestly getting better at this point in their career.
Amazingly. And then came Mr. McIntyre with Angela to face off against the most unfunny man in WWE, Madcap Moss. I never thought I could hear a bad dad joke until he told one.
This is
several.
Or several.
and Happy Corbin like needs to go back to being angry Corbin.
Can we go back to punished Corbin? Can we go back to what Pat McAfee called on live TV bum ass Baron Corbin? Can we go back to that? That was great. Yeah, go look it up on YouTube. When Pat McAfee calls Baron Corbin bum ass Baron Corbin, it's fucking great.
Bum
Best clip of the year. I think it's unbearably ironic that like Corbin went from punished Corbin and was arguably almost gearing up to be the best face of the year, only so that he could become Happy Corbin with Madcap Moss and instantly get 110% go home heat every single fucking day.
Amen to that, sir. Amen to that. But luckily that match set us up for what was, in my opinion, easily a top 2 match of the night.
Easily.
Between RK Bro and the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team Champion. Now, this was a match that they've kind of been hinting at for a few months now, and we haven't really got it. But because the last time we came close to getting it, almost, and AJ Styles interrupted.
Right.
And prevented it from happening and prevented them from getting in there. So it was good to finally see Orton and Riddle lock horns with the Street Profits, two of the best tag teams of the past 2 years.
Easily.
You know, people forget that through 2020, the Street Profits were champs consistently throughout all of 2020.
Almost for a full fucking year, weren't they?
Yeah.
No, for a year or just about. Yeah.
Just about. They I want to say they won the titles. Did they win the titles? No, they went into WrestleMania last year as champs and retained. And then they kept the belts. And then when they got switched over to SmackDown, they did the belt swap with New Day. And then they were SmackDown tag team champions for like a good run.
Yeah, for a good bit.
So it was nice to see them back in that championship match picture. Like I enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, like if I'm being honest, we didn't really get to talk about it too much, but seeing RK Bro in person is completely separate than just seeing it on TV. The way they completely pop the fuck off together is amazing. Like I cannot overstate just how fun it is seeing them work. And although like it is kind of cringy to see the Migos come out and do their shit with them and all that, if I'm being 110% honest, it's RK Bro. They could spoon feed me some of the worst shit imaginable and I would clap my hands and take it, given the current state of wrestling.
Well, okay. Here's one thing I wanted to say about this match. real talk, bro. Like Randy Orton is having like
The run of his
the,
fucking career, dude.
you know what I'm saying? That he's this has got to be one of the high points for him, you know, because he
God, no,
just
you're
seems
right.
to be enjoying himself so damn much.
No, you're right. He puts so much fucking juice into every movement now. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's great for what it's worth. Like the joke of Randy Orton phoning it in at every given opportunity. I can't do that anymore. I
Yep.
can't make that joke anymore because seeing him in person, he was as energetic as I've ever seen him work at this point. And it's the same with his work on day one.
Yep. Amen. And I will say this again, and I will continue to say it every time I see it. Montez Ford, it is not fair for you to fly that high, brother. Like small planes are gonna hit you if you keep doing that. When that man launches for his splash, oh my God. I'm like, dude, why? It's not necessary to jump all that high.
Bro,
Like,
some people are just aerodynamic as fuck. Montez Ford is the definition of aerodynamic. That motherfucker flies on that frog splash, dude. You can,
for sure.
God, it still fucking staggers me to see him fucking fly, dude.
And he's been doing that since NXT.
Yeah, that's
Like,
his
just
main draw. Like from day one, that was just, I feel like that's just one of those moves that they saw him do in training and they're like, oh, that's the one.
that's it. Yep,
Bingo.
right there.
Time to finish, kid.
Well, that led us to the longest match of the night, which had the most story involved with it. And that was Edge taking on The Miz with Maurice in his corner. And as predictable as it was,
Yep.
it was still amazing to see the Glamazon show her face on the main roster again and looking all badass in her leather jacket and her hair all done up, coming to support her man. Gone, girl. Gone.
Yeah, Beth Phoenix is fucking awesome. You know, y'all were talking about Beth and Austin. I'm talking about that Brood entrance thing. But
Man, he gets me every time with it. I love it.
no,
Give me
he
the
could do that
Brood.
every single fucking time. He could do it every single fucking time, and I'd go for it. That being said, though, yeah, I didn't even realize this was the longest match of the night. It really was,
The
and
20 minutes.
you know, I love Edge, and I agree with everybody in the way that I would have loved to see him work with a younger star again. I would have
Yeah.
loved to see him work with AJ or Matt Riddle or
Well, I
whoever the
think that's
fuck.
coming.
Oh yeah, that's
I don't.
coming, no doubt. No
Yeah,
doubt.
I think he's gonna have one of those careers late in his life, like people like Taker did,
Like
where he's
Sean.
gonna come in like Sean. Yeah, he's gonna come in, have an amazing feud with somebody, take a couple of months off, pop back up here and there. And he's gonna do that until he just doesn't feel like he has anything more he needs to accomplish.
Yeah, you're right. Like
You
that
know,
being
if
said, though, I'm a bigger Miz mark
yeah,
than I am someone who wants to see younger stars. So I fucking love this match because like once a year, Miz can pump out these amazing fucking matches for no good reason. If you remember last year, he had that match with Seth Rollins
Yeah.
for no good fucking reason. He'll just pump out a good fucking match, like way better than the rest of his matches in the calendar year. And last year he had that banger ass match with Seth Rollins at like Backlash or some shit. I swear to God, I'll find it. And this is probably that one again. Probably not by accident, of course. This is a high profile ass match, but
and I think this ain't over.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, obviously it ain't over because on Raw the next night, Edge challenged him to a match at Royal Rumble, the tag team match, the gender or not cross gender, what's
intergender.
The intergender tag team match. I don't know why I crossed it. There was anyway. But yeah, so all right. So that led us to what to me was a great match. But also was the most heartbreaking match of the night. Like, because I really feel like it's her time.
Yeah.
It's her time. You know, and they're taking that away from her.
Yeah.
Like, but it could be leading to a Daniel Bryan type moment where she ends up winning the belt at WrestleMania. I've heard rumors of that. So if it leads to that, I take back everything that I'm saying right now. But if it don't lead to that, this is kind of boo-boo.
Yeah, when talking about Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan, you know, I agree. I thought I was alone in that. Because if I'm being real with you, I'm a huge I'm a Liv Morgan fan. You know why? Because Liv Morgan can sell her fucking ass off, dude. Like nobody in the women's division sells her ass off like Liv Morgan. When she gets hit, she crumbles like a fucking lawn chair. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
But
everything that he said, and she's fucking gorgeous. Sorry, just had to be said. She just is. Like,
somewhere on the list, and she's fucking hot.
And
Nice.
she's fucking hot.
God. Yeah, no, it was a great match, though. It was a great match. I may not be enjoying the entirety of what's going on with Becky Lynch's character, but once again, I can appreciate the physicality that Becky Lynch consistently brings to her matches.
Hey, man. Yeah. Like, I feel you. Like, I don't necessarily like the man character, but it is what it is. She's still good in ring. She's still really good in ring. And all right, so we got
this fucking match.
A few minutes left. Okay, so let's start off at the top. So during the pre-show, they announce that Roman Reigns has contracted COVID and is no longer going to be able to face Brock Lesnar that night.
Yeah.
And for some reason, instead of just giving Lesnar the night off, maybe it's in his contract. Maybe he told Vince, fuck you, put me to work. Maybe, you know, it's a bunch of other stuff, whatever happened. Brock Lesnar gets added to the fatal four-way match for the WWE Championship. So here I thought, okay, look, Lesnar's supposed to be facing Reigns, so he's not going to win this match.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I was wrong about that.
Were you in for a surprise?
Yeah. And it only took 8 minutes.
In the background, rubbing his hands together like Birdman.
Now, it does make me wonder what the plans are now, because last I heard, Reigns versus Lesnar for Reigns' title is still supposed to be the main event of WrestleMania 38.
Yeah.
So how's that going to work when Lesnar's got, because they said that they also said that there's a direct quote that they said that there's no plans to like do a unification match at this point. So if there's no plans to do a unification match, then that means either A, Lesnar's got to drop the belt, but then remember, there's what, 3 pay-per-views between now and WrestleMania?
There's 2. There's Royal Rumble, and then there's one more before Mania.
It's like Backlash or something like that, or
Backlash is usually the one after. A few years back, it was like Roadblock was the one before Mania, but yeah, okay. Sometimes it's Elimination Chamber. It's sometimes Fastlane. Might be Fastlane.
Okay. So yeah, we got 2 more. So Lesnar may hold the WWE title, I think, for a couple of months, but I think at some point before WrestleMania, he's gonna drop it.
I think honestly, we're gonna have one of those moments where Roman costs him the title, further setting up them fighting at Mania.
Could be, or it could be Heyman costs him the title.
Do you think? Because
remember they reunited on Raw.
Lashley?
Yeah, you remember, like, well, you know that that Lesnar and Heyman hooked back up on Raw.
Yeah, of course, yeah,
and so with those 2 on at Raw, together, I think Heyman's going to cost Lesnar the title, and what's going to end up happening is, hold on. Lesnar's going to end up I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, he's Heyman's going to cost him the title and then pop back up on SmackDown saying that the whole thing with Roman Reigns firing him was a ruse to get over on Brock Lesnar.
You think so?
I don't know, man.
The double cross.
Because they said that they're supposedly setting up for a major. When Heyman got fired, that was supposed to be setting up a major WrestleMania angle involving
That would make
Heyman and
sense then.
Lesnar.
That'd make more sense than now.
Yeah. So
I think we'll see. You know what? If Heyman goes back to Roman, you know what? You might be right. I didn't consider that.
like, because like he could very easily cost, show up at Brock's side, cost Brock the title. Lashley wins it, and then not necessarily a Royal Rumble or not necessarily a Royal Rumble, but like I think Lashley maybe loses at Royal Rumble, and then like maybe Roman tries to interfere.
Yeah.
And something screws it up, and then Lashley, almost wins, but Lesnar ends up winning. And then at the next pay-per-view, right before Mania, Lesnar drops it to Lashley. Or maybe even back to Big E.
Worst case scenario is we watch the Rumble and Brock goes into that Lashley match and loses the title, enters the Rumble and wins. That's worst case scenario.
That would be dope. That would be dope. So, but rest in peace, Big E's title run. It was beautiful while it lasted.
Yeah, no. I mean, they had a cool little 10-minute spot fest match, It was crazy that he was even added to it to begin with. The fact that Brock Lesnar has ruined all of the New Day's WWE Championship reigns is fucked up. The moment that it happened, I was like, nah, man, look. Brock had 4 other people he could have pinned, and they consciously chose for him to fuck up Big E's shit in the same exact angle that he fucked up Kofi's shit in. This is brutal. The New Day.
I'll be honest with you, I hadn't even thought about it that way. Like you just hit me in the dome with that one. Like, yeah.
Fucking hillbilly Lesnar comes in fucking up the New Day's title reigns like it's nobody's fucking business.
All right, so last subject before we go to break. I'm kind of gigging Brock Lesnar talking for himself.
Yeah.
Like Heyman can do his intros, but I'm gigging Brock talking for himself. Like, because he's kind of funny. He's kind of funny. Like, not really, but like he's kind of funny. He's showing a little bit more personality than just being that dude that gets in the ring, kind of bounces around and beats people up. Yeah.
He does the bounce, the Lesnar bounce.
like if you go back and watch the last 15 seconds of day one before it goes off the air, it's Lesnar sitting in the ring, like obviously tired as shit, with the belt over his arm, and he's just just sitting there laughing.
Just laughing.
Like God, just looking around like
not to hammer it in. Fucking Goro over here sitting down like Shao Kahn does in MK1, throwing his head back and laughing and shit. Like he's the final boss, and it's fucking awesome. But Brock has never been good on the mic in any capacity, whether it be in WWE or even in the UFC. I'll never forget. Was it Frank Mir or whoever when he was like, I said you had a horseshoe up your ass a year ago, and I pulled out tonight and beat you over the fucking head with it after he won the World Heavyweight Championship. And he's just fucking stupid. He's never been good on the mic, but in the last in this most recent run, he's never been this charismatic.
Yeah.
He's just oozing charisma. He just seems more comfortable on that microphone and in front of the camera than he ever has.
Amen. I 100% 100%. All right, so that's gonna do it for us for the first half of the show. We'll be back after a quick commercial break or podcast promo break if you're listening to us on Spreaker. Within the coming weeks, or within the coming months, this show, as well as all the rest of the shows before Aces, will be moving over to Live 365. You can find us, you'll be able to find us at live365.com. So, but that's a few months away. Right now, we're still on Spreaker.com, and YouTube. So thank y'all for watching. Thank you for listening in. This is the Cheap Pop Podcast. I'm K Double. That dude over there is Alpha. And we want to thank you for listening in. Peace.
Peace.
Howdy, folks. This is Double KK Double here. I'm here to tell you all about the 4Aces Presents Radio Network. On this network, we have a plethora of shows going on, sometimes once a month, sometimes every other week, sometimes once a week. It's all kinds of schedules going on around here. But what we're going to start with is the Now versus Then network. Now versus Then is comprised of a man by the name and co-founder of this particular network by the name of the Saint and his collective of hosts that help him bring to you the hottest topics, bring to you some of the greatest discussions, and bring to you some of the greatest music, independent music on the West Coast, hell, possibly even on the East Coast. So check out the Saint on Now versus Then. Now versus Then West, and Now versus Then Deuce. These shows air on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. or Monday nights right here on the 4Aces Presents Radio Network on Spreaker.com and or live 365 starting here in the next couple of weeks. All right, so the other part of the 4Aces Presents Radio Network I wanted to tell you about was a show by the name of the Mr. Deacon Experience. Starring Mr. Deacon himself. Deacon takes you on a ride talking about his Browns, talking about sports, talking about some of the hottest topics within the communities that surround us on a weekly basis, on a regular basis, I should say. So tune in to him on Saturday nights at 8. Now, the next part of the network is a few shows, some of which you may recognize, some of which are right here on YouTube, and that is the Double K Double Network. That will be 4 shows starring me and a bunch of my other hosts, doing everything from sports to music. Let's start out with Double K's Classroom, which is my bi-weekly show where I talk sports and some of the hottest topics in sports. Like this week, I touched on the A-Rod situation, John Gruden situation. So be sure to tune into that on Friday night at 8. But every Friday night we have a show, but we will be alternating between Spreaker and Live 365. Double K's K-Double, or Double K's Classroom will air on Spreaker every Friday night at 8. Or every other Friday night at 8. In the weeks in between Double K's Classroom, we will have KD5P. K-Double's 5th period music class, the show that will bring to you music from multiple generations, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s on Live 365 every other Friday at 8 p.m. So be sure to tune into those shows. The next show that we have is the Cheap Pop Podcast. The Cheap Pop Podcast airs right here on YouTube as well as on Spreaker.com. It's a weekly show that alternates between talking pro wrestling and everything involved with that, from WWE to AEW, etc., to talking movies, entertainment, comic books, television shows, animated television shows, etc. You think about it, we probably talk about it. So that's on Sundays at 5 p.m. And then every other Sunday, the final show on this network stars me, The Duel, and Heather O'Malley, which, by the way, Cheap Pop Podcast also stars Alpha, a young man out of Sacramento. All right. And then, yes, the West Coast bias with me, The Duel, and O'Malley talking sports every other week right here on the 486 Presents Radio Network. We go on live at 6 p.m. And yeah, that's so you guys be sure to tune in to the 486 Presents Radio Network. And be sure to keep watching the YouTube show that you're probably watching right now if you're seeing this video. So hi. Get back to it with either Double K's Classroom or the Cheap Pop Podcast. I hope you guys are enjoying. Peace. And we are back. Like I tell you every time, that sultruous voice and that beautiful face you are looking at and hearing from right now is the one and only Double K, K Double. And as always, I am here with that brother from the other mother, Alpha.
Yes,
How are
sir,
you, brother?
yes, sir. We're back here. We're chopping shit up just like we always do. And now we're going to get to the most recent of anything we could be talking about at this point, and that's the releases. When we're talking as fresh as yesterday, right? For me, at least, I found out yesterday morning.
WWE Releases. Dun, dun, dun.
I was going to say, you say it like this is exciting. This is bad.
For me, it's like this. They're almost $1 billion company. They had almost 300 wrestlers on roster, like as of like 2.5 years ago. They have to let certain people go, or they have to start letting people go eventually. It's a bad business model to hold on to all those wrestlers. It's basically sitting at home and not making any money and making money.
Yep.
But I'll dive right into but there are some of them that weren't a surprise. There are some of them, if you weren't blind or living under a rock and you were listening to what the WWE was saying, you saw it coming. I'll be honest with you. It wasn't a surprise to me that Adam Cole didn't resign. Because think about it. Adam Cole's not exactly on the younger side of things. He's not in his 40s yet, but he's not exactly on the younger side of things.
He was a career indie guy, not just someone who made his name on the indies. He made his career on the indies, and there's nothing wrong with that, though.
Exactly. So he saw the writing on the wall. Same thing with Gargano. He saw the writing
with Gargano as well.
Their contracts just happened to come up before WWE could release them. You know what I'm saying? So they let him walk away. But you look at and so I don't understand why everybody's such in shock and WWE is the big bad WWE because they're releasing these guys when they told you, what was it, like 3 months ago when they launched or 4 months ago when they launched NXT 2.0?
Yep.
They made the point to tell you we are moving in a younger direction. We want our roster at NXT to be younger. We're you know what I'm saying, like we appreciate and love what these guys have done, but it's time to move forward. So it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me that somebody close to his early 40s in Timothy Thatcher gets released. He's a great wrestler. Would have loved to see him on the main roster, but he doesn't fit where NXT 2.0 is going right now. But go ahead.
Right. No, you're completely right. You know, this is in no way to say that I don't appreciate the what people like Thatcher, what people like Regal, what people like Road Dogg, all the people we're going to be getting into today. This isn't to say that I don't appreciate what they bring to the business, but you are right in that. You know, these are releases that have been they've been written on the wall for a while now. Since NXT 2.0 started, these names are people that we've kind of been expecting. And me personally, I knew that the very second they said we're looking for younger dudes, I was like, all right, right now people like Gargano, Thatcher, Ciampa, Birch, all of these older veteran style wrestlers on the NXT roster, they're going to start going now. And it was less of an if and more of a when. And they've even said at this point, and I'm sure everybody can tell, Birch and Thatcher haven't been on TV in a minute now. And that's for a reason. They've been taking more backstage type roles. And I love to see them contribute that way. But, you know, at the end of the day, they're not in-ring talent or valued as such anymore. And so if they're let go, then what's to be expected, you know? And that shows this whole new business model isn't just about the in-ring talent. It's not just about the wrestlers in and of themselves. It's about everything that has to do with the black and gold brand. Now that we're seeing the exodus of William Regal and Road Dogg. Road Dogg obviously being a part of the contingent with Shawn and Trips to basically write NXT full force all around.
Yeah.
And then you have William Regal, who's been a pivotal figure in NXT, not just as the on-screen general manager for probably the most consistent time period that we've had any general manager in modern times, but he was also huge on talent scout. Gargano's talked about it on Twitter. Regal is one of the biggest reasons we've had so many indie people come through NXT in the last like 5-6 years.
Yeah. That statement right there, combined with the WWE statement about the direction of 2.0, tells you exactly why Regal is no longer there, because his services are no longer needed. That's not the direction.
That type of people anymore. The type of people that Regal was adept at picking out.
Now here's where we draw into the second part of what I was talking about when I was off air. I think that all of these moves by WWE are precise and excellent. Everybody's like, oh, look, they're stripping down, they're preparing for a sale. No, they're getting back to the business of making stars. Throughout the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression era, I would say a good half to almost 2/3 of the stars, mega stars that came out of that era. Oh no, I'll say about 1/3. Sorry.
Yeah.
Of the stars that came out of that era were homegrown OVW people that came up through and were superstars. WWE wants to get back to doing that. Over the past decade, WWE has picked up guys, and don't get me wrong, I love every single one of them, like Shinsuke Nakamura, like AJ Styles, like Samoa Joe, that made their name someplace else, like Adam Cole, like Bobby Fish, like Kyle O'Reilly, that made their name someplace else and could bring their fans to WWE to an extent, you know, and they're bringing their talent into WWE.
Right.
You know, but those are not WWE made stars. Just the same way as when somebody who made their name in WWE or came up through the ranks in WWE and then left, or made their ranks in WWE and then left, they're always going to be a WWE guy, no matter where they go. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter where you go. Daniel Bryan will always be a WWE guy. Love him to death. I know he was in ROH before WWE, but WWE is where the world fell in love with Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson.
I'll take that.
So despite the name change, he will always have WWE tied to him. CM Punk. He kind of developed his worldwide stardom on his own and brought it to WWE. But WWE launched him into that stratosphere.
You're right.
You know, they were the fuel in the rocket that he had already built. So he will always be attached to WWE.
Absolutely.
WWE has done that over the last few years. If AJ Styles goes and wrestles anywhere else, he will have that WWE tag tied to him. Not as he's a WWE guy, but just like
not that
a lot of people will remember him.
But he'll be remembered for his time in WWE.
Right. So
he's WWE, as I like to say, he's one of those people where if he goes to an indie show after, you're going to see former WWE star,
right,
for the little moniker.
And so because of that, I think once again the stripping down of NXT is about, and the Next in Line series,
right, of the literal fucking team of Olympians,
right. Gabe Stevenson, those twin girls that play basketball, I think in Oregon or something like that.
Not only that, but everybody there is also, I don't know if you've seen, everybody there is in some way, shape, or form like some form of social influencer. Yeah, they're big social media juicers. It's pretty crazy.
Well, they're all athletes. Like they were all college athletes.
Yeah,
like
they're all unbearably good athletes. Like
they were saying the twin girls are like the Bellas to the next level, because like, no offense to the Bellas, but the Bellas came in being models and gymnasts and kind of learned to wrestle over the
zero
years.
wrestling ability.
Right.
Yeah.
These girls are coming in as like actual sports athletes, you know, and learning to wrestle. There's a huge difference there, like in, you know,
Yeah, you're right.
in how they come along. So like they're saying like they're the Bella twins with a little bit with a little bit more. So hey, can't wait to see what they look like if they ever hit the main roster or NXT.
Right.
You know, Gabe Stevenson, he skipped the NXT altogether and he just landed in the
fucking
main roster.
Right. Yeah.
But that
whole... Go ahead, sir.
but him, Ridge Holland is showing him, guys like him, Ridge Holland, I forget to name a few, are showing, Damian Priest are showing how the WWE has been recently trying to infuse the main roster with younger faces and fresh faces.
You're right.
You know,
it's very true.
I think if not for their love of NXT, Ciampa and Gargano and Cole would have been on the main roster.
Absolutely. I think so. They would have been in the main roster a long time ago at this point.
But
you know, that all being said, you know, it makes more sense, and it's staggering that this news came out when it did, because if you haven't learned already, this week Braun Breaker became the new NXT champion. He came through and not only literally split the old black and gold logo right down the fucking middle, like a big fuck you to the old black and gold brand. He comes through and literally kicks it in half, fucking Ghost of Sparta style, and then goes in and has a banger of a match with Ciampa, and then wins. And old boy celebrates with his Chucky the Killer Doll hating father. And it was a cool little moment, but for what it's worth, it happened within like 72 hours of them learning that Regal and all these people are all leaving NXT. And it is oddly poetic, you know. This is almost like the placement of the grave and the throwing of the dirt on ye old black and gold. And you know, it was
and it was an amazing brand for over a decade.
Exactly. And I say this as somebody who loved black and gold, and as you know, watched the entirety of black and gold from its inception. I'm a huge fucking fan of this, and I'm not gonna say that I want NXT 2.0 to burn to the ground, but I am not as big of a fan of it as I was black and gold. And I say all this because I want to play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
And so I say this as somebody who is unhappy with the entirety of NXT and what's going on right now. Bear that all in mind.
Okay.
So if this entire time we've spent years with stars rolling up to the main roster from NXT with nary of a plan or worst execution of everything going on with them, every single time and time again, at the end of the day, is it not sensical to say that NXT Black and Gold wasn't doing good at producing the right type of stars for the main roster? On a consistent basis, it was not producing the type of stars that resonated well on the main roster to be able to stick around. And yes, I will admit it was on part of the writing team of the main roster, no fucking doubt. But that all being said as well, as much as I hate the change in NXT, at this point, was it not crucial to change NXT to actually gearing towards making something that would actually succeed on the main roster? And as much as I hate the Von Wagners and whatever the fuck Joe Gacy is doing right now, that
Von Wagner,
the fucking generic superstar 06. Fucking
oh man,
generic superstar 06. You know,
random uniform.
Exactly. Despite the fact that we have that, is it not accurate to say that we needed to change NXT to properly make something for the main roster? Because as good as Aleister Black was, as good as Shinsuke Nakamura was in NXT, Samoa Joe, as good as Bobby Roode was in NXT, they just didn't translate to the main roster over and over and over again.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
yeah,
I can't disagree with you. Like, I think that's the reason why it was shut down. People and see, I see a lot of people on the IWC talking about, oh, this is all about sticking it to Triple H. No, I think if you're going to change regime, you got to wipe the slate clean.
Yeah.
If those guys that were released in the WWE to an extent let walk, we're not going to be on the main roster after transitioning out of NXT, then there was no reason for them to be with the company anymore.
You're right.
It boils down to that. Like basically, if you're not a part of it, that's any company in America, folks, any major company in America. When they talk about trimming the fat, what they're talking about is eliminating positions that no longer benefit and profit the company. And after almost 12, 13 years of NXT Black and Gold, an amazing product that did churn out like Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch,
Absolutely.
and some stars,
Kevin
Damian
Owens,
Priest.
Sami Zayn, Damian Priest. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. But recently, you are 1000% correct. They haven't turned out a Shield in a long time.
Exactly. Even when we're able to pump out these absolute physical monstrosities in the form of Keith Lee and Karrion Kross, look at the way that it's executed.
Yeah.
It just falls flat.
But here's the thing about it. I think that like let's focus in on Keith Lee real quick. I think the biggest mistake that they made with Keith Lee was changing anything about who he was in NXT.
Yeah.
They should have just left him with the Bask in My Glory gimmick and just had him come to Raw or SmackDown and just dominate. But with the change to Keith Lee and the change to his thing, and then the Bearcat Lee bullshit, like they just didn't know what to do with him. And sometimes, and I will admit that, sometimes WWE has to learn how to just let a wrestler be a wrestler.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you already own, well, you don't technically own Keith Lee's gimmick because Keith Lee is his name. Like, you can't own that.
Can't trademark Kurt Angle with Brock Lesnar.
Right.
It's a legal fucking name.
Hence why we got Bearcat Lee.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that like they should have just let him be him. And I think he would have been so over, it wouldn't have been funny. Because I thought his gimmick,
few cases,
yeah, I think his gimmick in particular translated well over to the main roster.
It's weird, even when you think more so about the fact that every time they did the character litmus test with the audience, Keith Lee passed in flying colors. When he showed up at the Royal Rumble and had that face off with Lesnar, everyone went fucking bonkers. And then he came through and had that series of matches with Randy. Everyone was like fucking awesome. It was great. He went over. It was fucking dope. Everyone was with it. And then he just disappeared and they changed him for no apparent reason, even though they had a very good thing going with him.
Yeah.
This isn't even the case of them not having anything good going. No, they had a very good thing going with him. They really did.
Bro, the only other thing I would have liked to see them do with him, and I don't know why, maybe the people within this group turned it down, but I would have loved to see him join the Hurt Business.
I think that would have been fucking awesome.
Like it's either like a goon for Bobby Lashley or just like another powerhouse in that group. Like him and Bobby Lashley could team up and win the tag championships.
I would have really liked to see Keith Lee. If he would have gone into that, I would have loved Keith Lee to like have the metamorphosis that is it Powerhouse Hobbs?
Yeah.
What he's going through right now with MJF.
Yeah.
I think that would be fucking awesome. If Keith Lee did something like that.
Oh, like, bro, can I sidetrack real quick?
Oh, dude.
Man, the main event Mafia had to be one of the coolest fucking stables ever put together. Not only because when them niggas all came out in the
suited up, bro.
Like,
fuck.
Dude. And then you had Sting and Booker T, and it was like champions. Yeah. I'm like,
No,
damn,
nothing
dude.
was doper than that.
See, I miss that.
Doing
That's the thing I miss about Impact now versus Impact back then. Not just because of the names, but they had some of the sickest fucking storylines in wrestling at that
They
time.
did.
Joe versus Angle is still one of the best series of matches I've ever witnessed in my life.
I will take it to my grave that Joe versus Angle is one of the best rivalries in
Especially
all of wrestling fucking history. When it came down to Joe versus Angle for everything, when it was literally Joe versus Angle, everything on the line, and it ended with Angle having like fucking 9 belts on fucking either shoulder, and he was just, and that was peak Perk Angle years. So we have Perk Angle off of like 70 fucking painkillers at that point, fucking like 60 pounds of gold on his shoulders, fucking screaming his head off and shit. This peak fucking Perk Angle, best shit ever. Take my money, take me back to the good old days.
And I'll tell you this, like that was one of the rare times when I did not object to giving one man every title in a company.
For real.
Like most of the time I'm like, nah, that's not necessary. You got too many wrestlers to have one dude hold all the chips. Like that's not cool. But that time I was like, you know, you earned it. Like I can't even say nothing. Like you earned this shit. Like because you and Joe went through like a match. You know,
God.
AJ Styles and Samoa Joe for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Daniels.
Says. That's why even if the match wasn't as great, I loved seeing Styles and Joe work with each other a few years back because it was just small little bits and pieces of references to their killer ass feud in TNA or feuds in TNA. Yeah. There was a time where Joe versus Styles was damn near becoming TNA's Cena and Orton in terms of like perfect face and perfect heel, like opposing.
And they play, and Joe definitely is a perfect heel. But Daniels versus Joe versus AJ Styles for the X Division belt.
Everyone
possibly one of the greatest matches ever wrestled.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not one of the best in TNA. That's not one of the best in the modern generation. That's one of the best matches I've ever seen in my fucking life, like bar none.
Not to mention that era of Impact or TNA brought us Machine Gun Kelly and Alex Shelley as or not Machine Gun Kelly.
I was gonna say MGK. That's funny.
But Alex Shelley and what's his name?
I mean, Alex Shelley and holy shit, it's slipping my tongue right now.
It's slipping my brain. But the Motor City Machine Guns.
The Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna say TNA had some of the fucking hardest names for any group and or tag team.
Beer Money,
bro. Beer Money Incorporated was the shit.
And people don't get it. Like there was a promo that James Storm did on Kazarian and Christopher Daniels. Shout out to them. Yeah. Those are actually friends of the show for the Raw Impact Unleashed. Both of those guys are awesome. Where James Storm goes up, he's like, I'm gonna tweet your ass, and then I'm gonna kick you in your Facebook. And before I log off, like he name drops like every social media place, even MySpace, in the process of telling both of them that he gonna kick their ass. I was just like, James Storm, like, yeah. When he came to NXT for like 2 days, I was so juiced, and then he left.
James Storm is what happens when you give a Mega Evolution Stone to Elias.
Hell yeah. Well, see, he also had, James Storm was blessed with one of the best taglines in wrestling history. Like, because the fact that he could end every promo with "sorry about your damn luck" was just so beautiful, so amazing and beautiful, because it fit every situation. Like, I'm about to get in this ring and beat you like you sold something. Sorry,
I'm
About
so
your damn luck.
fucking passionate about him, bro. Like,
Oh,
dude, he walked so Hangman Page could run.
yeah, because
In
all
terms of
Hangman Page is a
cowboy
little bit
shit,
toned down. Yeah,
cowboy shit, Hangman Page is just emo fucking Lance.
he called him dude emo.
If like if Storm is Dirty Harry, then Hangman Page is Johnny Cash.
Heck yeah, I like that. Oh man, but yeah, that cowboy shit, dude. But see,
Yeah,
and I think
shit.
thank you for pointing that out, because I think that's part of the reason why why I can't fully embrace Adam Page. Like, not because he's not a good wrestler, not because his character is not awesome, but just because like he reminds me of James Storm, but he's not quite James Storm, and I'm just like, nah,
and it's not even
good.
Like I have black fingernail polish on, no prejudice at all. Like,
yeah.
Hangman Page is just goth cowboy shit, and it's great. His whole gimmick is that he's sad. Don't get me wrong, I get that. That's not going over my head.
Yeah. Oh man.
But there will never be cowboy shit like the super kicking, whiskey breaking fucking James Storm, bro.
I think that I also mentioned, just to talk AEW real quick. I think I finally understood what my issue is with Private Party.
What's that?
And it's not their fault. It's kind of like the similar thing with Adam Page. Like, they look like they're almost the Street Profits, but they're not. like even with the changed gimmick with them being with Matt Hardy now a little bit and everything, I'm just like, yeah, just aren't the Street Profits. Like, and I understand they're not supposed to be the Street Profits. They're not trying to be the Street Profits. They're trying to be themselves. Bravo for them. But them falling short of being the Street Profits will always just be why I just look at them and just kind of go, eh. Like,
it's not even
I'm not taking.
Yeah, it's not even about two young dudes doing what they do.
Yeah,
it's not even like stylistically. It's that they even use some of the same fucking moves. It's like, come the fuck on, and they do some of the same spots where the one that kind of looks like Montez Ford will take the damage for 10 minutes and then hot tag to the other dude, and other dude will come in and do a spine buster, and it's like, how am I not supposed to see Street Profits in this?
Exactly. And I'm sorry, just like I tell most of the rappers post 90s, I'm sorry, your only flaw is that Tupac came before you. Like, that's not your fault. Your only flaw is that Pac came before you. Like, somebody did it better before you. And I know that that Private Party has been around longer than the Street Profits, but somebody came along after you and just did it better. I'm sorry. like I'm happy for you and all. Like, you doing your thing, you getting paid, you in AEW, you handling your business, but somebody just came along and just did it better.
And don't forget, Street Profits is homegrown too.
Yeah, they are homegrown.
Street Profits is homegrown.
Shit. All right, so last subject of the night, AEW one more time. Punk and MJF talking shit to each other again. Both managed to bring up WWE. MJF insulting Punk, and Punk insulting WWE. I don't get how that worked, but but that's what happened. And I'm just kind of over the jabs at WWE. Like, okay, so you didn't like it in WWE. That's why you're not here. Stop talking about it. You know, or not here, but that's why you're not there. Just stop fucking talking about it. Like, we get it, Punk. Like you're bitter. Like, you're pissed off that you spent so much time. I'm pretty sure the millions that you made while you were there, like, didn't help ease the pain. But at the end of the day, we get it, dude. Like, just be you. Talk shit about the guy you're about to wrestle and then go out there and fucking out wrestle him. But leave the fucking WWE alone. They're not taking stabs at you. you just leave them alone. It ain't because I like WWE or anything like that. It's like watching a girl or a guy that just broke up with somebody, and then all they do is sit there and talk shit about that person. And you're like, you left them. Shut the fuck
Let it
up.
go.
Thank you. You want to put on the blue dress and everything, dance around the room. Let it go. Let it go. Like, especially when you left them. They didn't leave you. WWE didn't cut you. You left them.
You dipped.
Get over it. Move on.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was still a decent promo.
That's fair.
From what I heard from both guys, Alpha's gonna send me the link so I can watch it. But like the last promo that I watched of theirs, they talked about WWE, and I'm like, but go ahead, bro. Close us out. Sorry.
I love these. No, you're right. You're right. Little jabs are just like, ugh. But for what it's worth, I do love this. I love that they're doing this little promo battle on a constant basis between the two, and I know, like, I like that they're not putting them against each other right away.
Right away, yeah.
Like for what it's worth, I love this whole
story.
This whole setup between Cement Mixer Punk and Mary Jane Friedman.
It's Cement Mixer, huh?
Cement Mixer Punk, Cocaine Maker Punk. But it's not.
Oh man!
I love the way they're setting this shit up, though. I love the way they're setting this shit up. I like the way that they're just constantly battering each other over the mic all the fucking time. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Punk made MJF get his first loss of 2022, okay. And then they immediately went to getting on the mic and talking back to shit. It was great. And I do like the little nod. If there is anything that I do love about them talking shit with WWE, there is one thing, and that is MJF talking about the fact that CM Punk still hasn't main evented WrestleMania. That I did like.
Somebody tried to call him out on that and say that Undertaker versus CM Punk was a main event. It was a main event.
It was not a co-main event. No. Was the closer of the show.
Exactly. Yes. Like, and normally if it's a co-main event, it happens right before the main event. But WWE does have matches at the top of every hour that they call main events.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, but it wasn't the main event of that WrestleMania by far.
Yeah.
And
that is true. No. That is true.
Yeah.
It was considered by time gaps of the way shows are handled. It was considered the main event of that section of the show. That is true, absolutely. But did it main event WrestleMania? No.
Yeah. Another great feud for you idiots out there that says WWE hasn't done anything great since like the early 90s. I believe that feud happened in the early 2000s.
That was
CM Punk versus Undertaker. Yeah, the CM Punk versus Undertaker was an amazing feud and led up to an amazing WrestleMania match.
Fucking great lead up and match.
So y'all can kiss my ass.
That match should have main evented, in my opinion, just because it was a good ass match, in my opinion.
Yep, 100%. Just like I did. So I guess that means that CM Punk versus Chris Jericho didn't main event then.
No, it did not.
The Best in the World. Huh.
Interesting. I
always thought that one main event. Maybe it was again. It was one of the hourly main events, but it wasn't the main event.
The main event, yeah.
It wasn't the close. Wow. Yeah. So MJF was accurate on that. And dude, he really had people on the internet looking for fucking buy one get one free WrestleMania tickets. Like they thought CM Punk was serious about that shit. Like, get the fuck out of here.
They thought he was advertising for them.
But WWE does have 200,000 seats to fill, basically. They have, because Dallas is 200,000 plus, because Dallas is a big stadium and it can seat almost like 80,000 for a football game. So it's going to be a little under, either a little under or a little over 100,000 for a WrestleMania, and they're trying to fill it both nights.
Oh, are they going to the same building they did for Mania 32?
I think so. I think they're this one's supposed to be in
It
Dallas.
sounds like the same building. It sounds like the same building.
It's Jerry World, the Dallas Cowboys home.
Pretty sure that same one, yeah.
Yeah.
The big fucking stadium, yeah.
So
yeah.
And I think when it goes to LA, it's going to be in SoFi, the Rams new stadium.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so yeah, they do got 200,000 seats to fill, and that's a tall order, you know, but I think they can do it. I think the minimum get 90,000 on both nights, if not the full 100,000.
I think they'll get at least 100,000. If we can get as many as we did for Mania 32 at that pretty low point in wrestling at the time, in my opinion, I think we can get to that point here.
Well, that, and people forget that WrestleMania is like one of those once in a lifetime experiences for a lot of people, especially people from around the globe. Yeah. Like who pretty much know WrestleMania is not coming to England or Europe anytime soon. Like, you know what I'm saying? The expenses behind that event.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, like those type of people, well, then again, though, that might keep people away is the rise in the COVID.
We're going to have to see what things are looking like in April then. At this point, we're going to have to see what things are looking like, because if we're going on the track we're on now, we might not be able to have that many people fly through to that then. You're right. I didn't think about it like that.
It'll mainly be people from the States, but
as right now,
we'll see.
As it's looking like, I'm hearing that we're getting a lot of rumblings. We could be going back to the Thunderdome.
Oh, great. Well, if that's what has to happen, you know, all these idiots out here refusing to get jabbed, but I can't call them idiots. It's their choice. You know, you do what you do, but if everybody got jabbed, we could be through this shit that much quicker, you know, but people got to do their own research. They got to come to their conclusions on their own time. Can't push them.
Yeah, you're right.
But they also ain't got to lie to us. Fuck you, Aaron Rodgers. Anyway.
Fuck you, Aaron Rodgers.
He gonna try to play the sympathy card. Dude just don't like me because I ain't vaccinated. No, he don't like you because you lied about being vaccinated, idiot.
Yeah.
Don't play word chess with me. You lied, motherfucker.
Don't dance around me, boy.
Exactly. Don't be dancing. I'm too old for that dancing shit, boy. Don't be dancing around me. All right, man. Close us out.
All right. You know how it goes, my people. Thank you for coming around and talking some wrestling with us. Be safe. We're going to come around next time. We're going to be talking some Marvel, some fucking TV shows as we do. Actually, we're going to be talking some Cobra fucking Kai again. Gonna be back on that shit. Peace, my people. Be safe.
We out.